If you made the custom headers with the separate text and background, I wanted you to have the opportunity to do the same thing here. So we need in order to do that is to make sure that we've got our titles file included in our favorite assets. So I'm actually going to return to my favorite things and find my best version of this, and I'm going to copy and place it in my favorite assets. I didn't want this to confuse anybody who just wanted to go with a simple route, but having this here, I can now import it into my favorite assets as well. So I'm going to expand it, and I'm here, and I'm going to show you what happens. I'm going to File, Import, and go to my favorite assets. I'm going to find my Photoshop file. Now here's the thing, Photoshop is made by Adobe and Premiere is made by Adobe. So this is a unique program that knows what to do with the layers in here. Let me go ahead and open that file and let's see what it says. So as you can see here, your first option is to just merge all the layers together. But that's not what we want to do. This is a very complex file. I got 20 different backgrounds. I've got text. So I am going to instead keep the individual layers. Okay. And now you can see, you can even like pick and choose which ones you want. Those were not turned on when the file was last saved. So I may or may not want all of those extra backgrounds. I think I used these together. They're in that order. And so I've got my intro and those. So I may not want the rest of these, or I might say, you know what, let me just have a few more of these so I have more options later on. In fact, we could do some fun stuff with it. Let's see what happens if I just say, hey, let's get all of these. And, oh, there was a select all there I should have used. So now look what happened here is I've actually got a folder inside the folder that's got my extra goodies here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my background for my intro, which can be a little tricky when it's like this. When I have this many of them, I might need to actually look at them because there's backgrounds. Oh, here we go. So this is all kind of out of order. So let's switch it to the other view. Let me see if I can make this work. My recording is in the wrong place. So a little bit of trouble. I'm going to need to move this aside so I can switch that to this view where I can see all the different icons. So I'm going to go into my favorite assets, and then I need to find the titles folder where I've got all these different layers of text. Oh, looks like this is the one I was doing with an example. So this actually may work out pretty well. So I am going to take a background and put it on top of the old one. And now the text is gone. This is no longer a PNG. It's a layer in my Photoshop file. So I can now take, let's say, my intro text. So let's see, there's my name, and I can put it on video 3 track, and there's my name. And that allows me to do things like keyframe its position and do all sorts of other things. If I decide, you know what, I want my name to be at the top and then my favorite things to be underneath it, well, you can do that. We can just change the place there. You know what, this is my original, so I might decide that is what I want instead. Anyway, showing you that you have more options when you do this. And not only that, but this can be animated and keyframed to do all sorts of things, not just move or zoom in or zoom out. In fact, we're not going to zoom in on these, but it's going to allow me to make changes after the fact. Now, what about that animals? That's a bit of a problem because that is misspelled. And when I put this in my animals one, let me grab just a different background. For animals, it's misspelled. Whatever shall I do? Well, I'm going to right click on that asset and I'm going to ask to edit that original one. So I'm going to edit this with Photoshop. It says edit original. Let's see if I can edit that in Photoshop. See if it opens that file. So here I am with that same file and the misspelled word. So I can fix that. I'm going to put the letter I in there, animals, and just save the file. Don't do anything else. Don't rearrange any layers because that can kind of mess things up. The names of these layers and the order that they're in are now pretty well fixed once it's been imported. But now that I've saved it, see no asterisk there? Look what happens in Premiere. It fixes the problem. So if I want to change that font, it's just as easy. Like, you know what, that font's not all that easy to read, so I'm going to pick a different one and see if the effects still look good. Kind of small. Let me go ahead and make that 300 pixels instead. So the whole point being, if you have a live connection between Photoshop and Premiere and you're using them as layers, then you've got a lot more options after the fact to tweak things, adjust things. Now that's my places background, so maybe I'll choose another one. But again, places won't need to have that background either. Having text with outer strokes and glows that will make it visible on any background is a very important skill to have because then you have a lot more options later on.